If I can have your attention here in the Media Center, we will start today's post-race media availability for the AAA 400 here at Auto Club Speedway, and we're joined by race-winning crew chief Adam Stevens. We will open the floor up for questions for Adam. If you have a question, please raise your hand. We will get a wireless microphone to you. Questions for Adam Stevens. As we're waiting for questions, I'm sure, oh, we got Lee right here at the front. Let's get a microphone to Lee.
SpencerRacingBoys.com. You got your wish. He waited until Sunday. So how does it feel?
It's pretty cool. You know, the 200 deal is it's awesome. You know, it's important for people to remember. It's not my 200th win by any means. But it's cool to be a part of his career. You know, he's as good as they get. Probably be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't know how anybody could argue that. And just to be so close to that level of talent and help him achieve what he's achieved is a tremendous honor, and I don't take it lightly. I never have. You guys have probably heard me say that before. But you know, get him to victory lane a few times and be a part of it on the Xfinity side, and a Cup championship, and a few Cup races, and now to be a part of his 200th win. I hope I'm there for 250.
Additional questions in the deadline room for Adam Stevens. We'll go to Bob and then to Dustin.
Fox Sports. You probably don't know this stat, but in the last 36 times he had led the most laps in an Xfinity race and had not won. He only won one of the Cup races the day after. So I'm curious, like, do you do anything after he has a race like he had yesterday to make sure he's ready to go, or to
no, but I'm probably going to start now that you pointed that out, Bob. That's ridiculous. I had no idea, but you know, I think we've all seen a lot of growth in Kyle through the years, and I've seen the most not behind closed doors, not dealing with him on the team. He's always been as good as he could possibly be in that regard. But the frustrations through the weekend and on the racetrack affect him less than maybe they did a few years ago. And I wouldn't expect that stat will hold true in the future. But now that you pointed it out, probably not surprised that. I'm surprised at the magnitude of that stat, but that stat exists, maybe not. But he just operates at a whole different level now.
Go next to Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Adam, before that last pit stop, listening to you on the radio with him, he was talking about he was afraid to make an adjustment, and you said don't be afraid. Mm-hmm. How much, and I know when you're in the heat of the moment it's one thing, but how much of it is, have you learned how to coach him through these things, or and why do you, in that sense, why did you say don't be afraid in that case? I
mean, I was really just busting his chops, but you know, the car was pretty finicky today. We never made a wedge adjustment or a track bar adjustment. It was just air pressure and a piece of tape all day long. So we were close, but we kept bouncing from one side to the other. And these things are, when you get them right, they can be that way. Certain tire combinations are worse than others. But you know, we were a little tight. We adjusted. We were too free. We adjusted again. We were too tight. So, you know, I didn't want him to not tell me what the car was doing, because we were learning about the magnitude of our changes, and I didn't want him to forecast his impression upon what we were going to do. I just wanted him to tell me what it was doing. And every time that we made an adjustment and got his feedback, we got a little bit closer with the next one. And he was cautious to get it on the loose side and not be able to use the throttle like he needed to. So I was busting his chops a little, but I just wanted his honest assertion of what the car was doing at that time with no filter.
How often do you bust his chops that way?
At least once a race. I had a pretty good opportunity early in the race and I didn't take it, but at least once a race and all weekend long. You know, you have to enjoy yourself, and we operate at a pretty high level of communication and know how to take each other. So we try to keep it light.
What was the situation?
When Denny was running us down at the end of the first segment, and the gap had closed quite a bit, and he didn't hear how much the gap had closed and sniped at me a little bit, and I let it go, but I was ready. I was ready to team up, but I didn't.
Questions in the terrace press box?
Yes.
Go ahead, press box.
Yeah, only one question at this time. First of all, congratulations, Mr. Adam. Just a question concerning the tire wear. You mentioned earlier you adjusted, when I understood it correctly, the air pressure. We saw some drivers having problems with tires. You were not concerned this could have happened also to Kyle?
We weren't concerned by the amount of wear. This is a place where you really try to push the air pressures pretty low, lower than what makes Goodyear comfortable. And I think that tire issues we saw, having not intimate knowledge of their situations, maybe they ran something over, I don't know. But generally you see a lot of failures here because people just get too aggressive pushing the air pressure down. So that coupled with running on the apron can really hurt the left sides. There's a lot of bumps on the back stretch that can really tear the sidewalls up on low air early in the run. So that was the concern, not the actual wear of the tread.
Any additional questions in the terrace press box?
No more questions from the terrace.
Skybox press, any questions from the Skybox press box?
No questions from the Skybox.
Great, we'll send it downstairs to Chase and then we'll go to Christian.
Chase William, NASCAR.com. Adam, going back to what you and Dustin were talking about, do you think that's one of the biggest keys of your success with you and Kyle is the fact that you can bust each other's chops and get mad, but at the end of the day, nobody's feelings are hurt?
I mean, I think the key is communication, and how that manifests itself is just that we communicate well, and we both have the same goal, and we work toward that same goal. And everything that happens in between coming in the garage and leaving the garage, we pretty much leave here, and we do a real good job of learning from our mistakes as a team, and always looking forward and moving forward. And I think it all just comes down to communication.
Christian?
Christian Coley, frontstretch.com. I noticed beginning at the race, it was just really trashy outside. There was a lot of trash in the air. Was it a key to come down on pit road and try to clean off the grill every time? Because I noticed at one time there was a piece of debris on the grill when I was shooting photos in turn 3, and then it just seemed to disappear. How was it to keep the trash off the grill?
It's something that's a concern. I'm sure every car in the field picked up some debris at some point. As race teams, we've gotten a little bit more savvy about how to deal with that on the racetrack. And, it really wasn't an issue. We never had temps climb. But, out here it's been so windy the last few days. It wasn't too windy today, and that just stirs up a lot of stuff. And it's very common to pick up debris here. But we've all found ways to deal with that.
Go next to Dustin.
I also wanted to ask you about another communication. After the pit road speeding penalty, you were very adamant on the radio, obviously in a very calm voice of, we don't need to get this immediately. We don't need to get this immediately. I guess one question would be, here is a veteran driver that's been through the battles. Are you saying that as much for yourself, or is that something that look, you've worked with him for so long. Why did you need to say it in that way, in that sense, for somebody who's been, almost had 1,000 races in this series?
Well, I do talk to myself a lot, but I don't generally key up the mic when I do it. But it was just reminding him of the situation we were in. A couple of the cars, we had to go tail end, but a couple of the lap down cars waved over for us. So, I think we restarted about 18th on the racetrack. So the ground to cover was a lot, but it wasn't something we couldn't do. And I felt like we had the best car and we had time on our side, and I really expected to see at least one caution to bunch us back up. So the last thing we wanted to do was him to not be aware of the situation and think we were a little bit more desperate than that, and then put it 5 wide on the top and drive it into the fence in the first corner, So he has the ability to make lots of moves, and sometimes those moves don't always come at the right time. So I just felt like it was the right thing to do to impress upon him that we could get there without any Superman moves early in the run.
Well, Adam, congratulations on the triumph, and good luck next week in Martinsville.
All right, guys, thank you. Jason Allison there will be your next stop.
We are now joined by the race-winning car owner of today's AAA 400, and that is Joe Gibbs, owner of the number 18 Interstate Batteries Toyota. We will open the floor for questions. If you have a question for Coach Gibbs, please raise your hand. We'll get a wireless mic to you. We'll start here with Elliot.
Elliot Stern, Center Media Times. After the speeding penalty, you guys got sent back. And then Kyle took his time, but he made a couple of really bold moves on the track.
I don't think he took his time. I think he was wheeling that thing. He made a couple of moves there where I just felt like, holy mackerel. He just really, with a passion, the way he drives the cars, appreciate so much. And we'd had a speeding penalty this year that he felt like it cost him a race. And I think just he's an unusual athlete that if there's anything in front of him and he's driving a race car, he's going to try and get it. And so that showed up today, I think.
Does it give you chest pains when he's doing that, going through traffic? I mean, he dove through cars that would like going through a needle, threading a needle.
Yeah, it always, I'm amazed, really. And you just realize the passion, what kind of skill that takes. And so it was a great charge from the back. Here's the deal. I wasn't sure. Our car had been up front all day, and Adam had been adjusting on a car that was up front all day. And now for us to be in the back, I wasn't sure that we'd be able to handle traffic like that and get through there. But, hey, somehow Kyle was able to get it done. Adam did a great job. And I'm always, for me, when you see Interstate Batteries on that car today, just 27 years. They're our founding sponsor. Been with us. I called Norm and Scott today. They've been with us for 27 years and just great partners. And the thing about racing that I always like to emphasize, they're a huge part of our race team. And then you have Mars. We had Skills on the car last week, but the Mars Corporation is our major sponsor on that car. They play a huge role. They get along great with Interstate, and it's been a great partnership. And as everybody here knows, it takes a lot of resources to race cars at this level, and we're so fortunate with our race team. And then we got Toyota as a partner. So I just appreciate so many people get to celebrate this. I've been on phone calls talking to everybody at Interstate, everybody at Toyota, and certainly at Mars, and just thanking all of them, because that's what I go through. And I think about all the people back home. Coy and I are out here. We get to, obviously, from an ownership standpoint, get to celebrate this. Everything this year that's happened to us, JD, I feel like, is a part of our race team, and he's got a way to look down on us, and certainly everybody back home. We just all celebrate this, and it's a huge deal for us. When I think about it, JD spent 27 years of his life, occupational life. This is all he's done to build the race team. It's a huge emotional thing for all of us.
Go next to Jonathan, then to Justin.
Jonathan Merriman, NASCAR.com. Coach, how special of a talent is Kyle, and given your background, can you compare him to any other race car driver or any other athlete you may have seen on the football field?
I'm always leery when people ask you, they have great athletes, and people say, well, who's the best of all this kind of stuff. I'm always leery of that because there's been so many great drivers in NASCAR down through history that have built this sport. And I've noticed Kyle said the same thing. It's just that I do know that he's unusual. He's got a real gift. And as a part of that, there's a determination and a competitive attitude he has that you just don't find very often. And because of that, I think he's accumulating all the wins that he has.
Go next to Justin.
Justin Schuler, Speedway Media. Coach, there's no doubt Kyle has talent behind the wheel. But he has a lot of leadership outside of the Cup Series, especially when he ran the truck team and trying to recruit drivers. Do you feel that kind of overlays into driving, or that kind of goes hand in hand?
I don't quite understand. You mean?
Like maybe he sees someone that has a little bit of him and wants to develop that?
Oh, I definitely think with young talent, I'm talking to him all the time, because one of the keys for being, in Cup You got 4 guys up there, and who's the next star? Is there somebody that's a superstar? And so I think Kyle has a real feel for that. He found Eric Jones, in a late model race, a big late model race. I go to him, talk to him all the time about talent. What do you think about these guys? And he's, I think he's very intuitive when it comes to young talent. I think he's really good at it, and I think his truck team is a place where a lot of young guys are getting their chance.
Do we have questions in the Terrace press box?
Yes, we have one question.
Go ahead.
Wolfgang Monser from Germany, Rennsport Press Agency. First of all, congratulations. There's no doubt Kyle is a very talented driver, a lot of qualities, but he and the Toyota Camry seems to be a perfect combination. From the technical point of view, when I just watched the race, stage 1, 2, and 3, I couldn't believe the speed. I mean, the Fords and Chevys had no chances. Is there anything magic with the Camry? Why the car is so much faster?
I actually think coming into the race, everybody here would have said the Fords were the fastest. Really, I think everybody felt like that was going to be a Ford day, and so it kind of goes back and forth. The Fords have been very quick. Joey's won, Brad's won, and so I think it kind of goes back and forth. Who gets hot? Who's got the car for the day? And that's the reason why it's so competitive up here at this level. But I do think it's, like I said, I know the Fords have really been good, and I really think we were, I think Kyle felt like he was pretty good, but I really felt like the people I talked to on our race team felt like the Fords were probably the fastest of the field for this weekend.
Any questions in the Skybox press box?
No questions.
Okay, we'll come back downstairs. Any questions for Coach Gibbs? We'll go to Jeff.
Obviously, you've been around sports for a long time, and I find it interesting that, like, everybody, even on your own team, was saying that, hey, the Fords are going to be the fastest, and throughout the season, everybody's thought the racing was going to look a certain way and didn't. Yeah. Does it ever cease to surprise you that all the predictions throughout all sorts of sports, they don't seem to always come true that often?
I got to tell you, pro sports, I think I've said this numerous times. I said in both football and when I was there, and now that I'm in racing, I said that they're both very unpredictable, and I think it's because the best people in the world are doing it, and all it takes is a little bit to slip one way or the other, okay? In either sport, it's easy to fall off. 15, we had a horrible year. I mean, it can happen to you. And I said, too, that in the pro sports, the 2 I've been in, they change it roughly 30% a year. For instance, you think about our sport. We got segment racing. It's changed everything. The playoffs the way it is now. We come out with this new package. And I think you make a good point. And I think somebody asked Kyle that last week, and I think he said, you're just going to have to wait because we don't know. And, we all were looking at it. I bet this is what's going to happen, and it surprises you when you really get in traffic. So, and you get racing. I think what's going to happen after 8, 9, 10 races, we're probably going to have a feel for this. I do know that NASCAR will keep working on the racing package. We're just going to keep doing that because what? We're trying to get the best racing, and what you'd really like to have, always reward the best car for the weekend. You'd like to do that. But you'd also like to have what? You'd like to have a lot of racing and a lot of changes of leads. And we're all continuing to work towards that. So I think it's a work in progress. But I think pro sports, if you look at the NFL, all the things that's happened over there, whether it's the concussion thing or changing rules or this or that, or pro sports, they're constantly changing. I think there's smart people in charge, and I think they're trying to address things and make it better for the fans and attract the fans. That's what we're trying to do, too. Very important, and we got a great fan base. I appreciate coming to L.A. because this is a huge deal for NASCAR. Being here, having that fan base today, it's a big deal for us.
Go next to Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Joe, in just talking about, pro sports constantly changing, but you look back at the last 50 Cup races, Kyle's won 13. That's a ridiculous 26% winning percentage.
Yeah.
how do you? And I know that's partly your team as well, but how do you explain that with all the changes that have happened in the last 50 races? That goes back to the end of the 2017 season.
Yeah.
That you have one guy who's won essentially a quarter of the races in that period.
Well, I think take a look at football. We got something going on over there that's what? We got a team that's dominating things. And really, I think lots of times in pro sports, when somebody's kind of dominating something, they have the biggest growth because everybody's trying to, hey, we're going to try and beat them, and everybody's pulling against that person or that team. I think Kyle and Adam have kind of hit it. And we all know kind of how hard that is, because how long does a driver and a crew chief stay together? We all see it play out. And I think they're an unusual pairing. Adam is very strong, and he'll step out there with Kyle and does a great job of leading it. And so I think Kyle is very gifted. Does that mean it's going to keep going like that? No, we got off to an unbelievable start. This is fantastic for us and our race team. But the thing that you can count on in pro sports, everybody's coming. Everybody's after it. You look at all those race teams that are out there and how good they are. You got Penske and Hendricks, and you got the guys coming after you. And so I think that's what makes it so exciting. And I think you made a good point too. We don't know what's going to happen from week to week.
I want to check that the Hall of Fame coach of the Washington Redskins compared his driver to the New England Patriots.
No, I did not. I did not mention. I did not mention that name. I just said it does happen in pro sports.
Well, Coach, congratulations on the win today.
Thank you.
Good luck next week in Martinsville.
All right, thank you. Thanks, guys.